Edward Plantagenet, known to history as King Edward IV of England, was born on April 28, 1442 in Rouen, Normandy. He came into the world during one of the most turbulent periods in English history, a time of dynastic war, political treachery, and violent ambition that would later be known as the Wars of the Roses. His father, Richard, Duke of York, was one of the most powerful nobles in England, and his mother, Cecily Neville, came from a family of immense prestige. From the moment of his birth, Edward's life was bound to the struggle for England's crown. As a child, Edward grew up in an atmosphere charged with politics and looming conflict. His father's claim to the throne of England, through descent from the House of York, put their family on a collision course with the ruling Lancastrian king Henry VI. Edward's early education reflected his noble birth. He learned horsemanship, swordsmanship, the art of governance, and the deep sense of duty expected of a royal heir. But his youth was short-lived. By the time he was in his early teens, England was at war with itself. In 1455, when Edward was just 13, the Wars of the Roses erupted. The country was divided into two rival factions, the House of Lancaster, symbolized by the red rose, and the House of York, symbolized by the white. His father, Richard, became the leading figure of the Yorkist cause. For Edward, this was not a distant political game. It was family survival. In 1460, tragedy struck when his father and younger brother, Edmund, were killed at the Battle of Wakefield. Edward, only 18 years old, suddenly found himself as the head of the Yorkist cause. It was in the crucible of war that Edward's character revealed itself. Unlike many noblemen of his time, Edward was not only a commander by title, he was a warrior in every sense of the word. Tall, imposing, and charismatic, he inspired loyalty in his soldiers. In March 1461, at the decisive Battle of Towton, one of the bloodiest battles ever fought on English soil, Edward led his army to a crushing victory over the Lancastrians. The victory paved the way for his entry into London, where he was proclaimed King Edward IV at just 19 years old. Edward's rise to power was meteoric, but his reign would be anything but peaceful. The early years of his kingship were marked by continued Lancastrian resistance and political intrigue. Yet Edward possessed qualities that set him apart from many rulers of his era. He was pragmatic, intelligent, and willing to adapt. He ended England's long war with France, stabilized the realm's finances, and ushered in a period of relative prosperity. His court became known for its splendor, and his personal charm made him popular with many of his subjects. However, Edward was not without flaws. His marriage in 1464 to Elizabeth Woodville, a commoner and widow, shocked the nobility. The union angered his most powerful ally, Richard Neville, the Earl of Warwick, known to history as the Kingmaker. Warwick had expected Edward to secure a politically advantageous marriage with a European princess, not a love match with a woman of lesser standing. The rift between king and kingmaker eventually erupted into open conflict. By 1469, Warwick had turned against Edward, joining forces with Edward's own brother, George, Duke of Clarence, in rebellion. For a time, Edward was captured and briefly dethroned. But he was not a man to stay down for long. In 1471, Edward returned from exile in Burgundy, landed in England with a small force, and reclaimed his crown through brilliant military campaigns. At the Battle of Barnet, Warwick, the once powerful kingmaker, was killed, and at the Battle of Tewkesbury shortly after, the Lancastrian heir, Prince Edward of Westminster, was slain. With these victories, Edward secured his throne beyond serious challenge. The later years of Edward's reign were marked by peace and consolidation. He strengthened England's economy, reduced dependence on foreign powers, and maintained a firm grip on his realm. Yet, while he appeared every inch the successful monarch, shadows still loomed. His health began to decline in the early 1480s, a result of his indulgent lifestyle, rich foods, drink, and a lack of restraint. On April 9, 1483, Edward IV died suddenly at the age of 40. His death left the kingdom in the hands of his 12-year-old son, Edward III, and opened the door to one of the most infamous episodes in English history, the rise of Richard III and the mystery of the princes in the Tower. Edward IV's legacy is complex. He was a warrior king who seized the throne by force but ruled with relative wisdom. He was a man of passion who defied political convention for love, but paid a heavy price in rebellion. Above all, he was the first truly successful Yorkist king, whose reign brought temporary stability to a fractured kingdom. His life was one of triumphs and tragedies, of ambition and humanity, the story of a man who shaped the course of England's destiny in an age of roses and blood.